What's up, Barndo bros? Today we're going to be installing stone panels in front of the Barndominium onto the metal siding. Not a lot of videos on YouTube that show you how to install this onto a metal siding. We're going to do that today, so stay tuned. So all the stone panels that I bought, they came from a company called Genstone. And again, I bought it from Lowe's. I contacted Genstone themselves. The price was a little higher than Lowe's. Lowe's gave me 23.5% off with the Pro account. It's a lot of money in savings. So the stone panels come, it's like a foam and it's painted a lot lighter than stone and a lot easier to install on the metal siding than the regular stone, because then you would have to put cement board and it'd be a mess. This is much easier, and we're going to go step by step on how to install this. Basically what we get is you get everything in a bunch of boxes. You got freight dropped, and these panels come in 11.5 inch, and they're nice and light. We went with this iron ore color. We're staying with the dark theme, and we're going to be installing these today. So in order to install these onto the metal siding, let's take a walk over there. According to the instructions on Genstone site, the easiest way is to take some 1x2 furnace strips, pressure treated, and you put it right onto the gas, because this little rib that you have here is about 1/4 inch thick. So it's about the same as this 1x2. So when you put these panels on there, you can see that it's pretty even. So all you have to do is screw right to the 1x2 instead of screwing to the metal. That'll prevent from water getting in there and rusting. So at least you only have the screws where you put these 1x2s. We're going with 3 panels. So with the 3 panels, I figured out that the strips have to be 34.5 inches. And I went ahead and I cut all the strips to size. I'm not going to show you a video of that. I just used a table saw and I cut them all to size. Now we're starting to install them. I'm going to go and show you how do we install these. So you need some construction adhesive, right? Like liquid nails, or if you want to do Loctite, whatever you want to do. And we're going to go ahead and just slap this on this void here to make it even with these ribs. And then all you have to do is get a metal self-tapping screw. We got these at Lowe's. These are self-drilling screws, wood to metal, and they're 1 7/16. It's plenty. You don't need any thicker than this. All right. And basically, all you have to do is, I show you how easy it is. You line it up. You got to be careful once it goes in the metal. Nice and easy. Don't over torque them, because you're only screwing to the thin siding. If you keep twisting them and over torquing them, you're going to lose. You're going to strip that hole out, and it's not going to be good. So nice and easy. Make them nice and flush, and we're going to keep going down the line here. This is what your furnace strip should be looking like. Remember that you have to measure the height of the panels, including the height of the ledger. You don't want this protruding above the ledger, and then you're gonna have to trim it, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt. So I did 3 panels and a ledger, and I cut these at 34 3/4. 34 3/4. And that's for 3 11.5 inch panels. I like to start with the corners. We're gonna start installing the corners first, and then we'll start from the corner to the door. All right, we have the furnace strips installed, and we're going to start installing the stone panels. They're going to be attached to the furnace strips that we added, the 1x2s pressure treated with some decking screws, and those are rust resistant. All right, you want to make sure that everything is nice and level, and this is just a little dry fit. First, you got to run a bead of construction adhesive on here, and then we'll screw it on and start with this corner, make sure that it's level so everything is nice and straight. All right, let's whip out that level again. What I like to do is, I like to use these screws, and I like to go from the bottom up. That way you won't even see the hole where the screw is. And after you caulk it, even if it doesn't really match the color of the stone, it really doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to see the screw. It's that easy, folks. This stuff is simple. You don't have to mess with mortar. You don't have to mess with concrete boards to put on here. It would be really heavy, put a lot of weight on this siding. This is super light and it looks beautiful. You can see this stuff comes nice packaged in the box. You got drop shipped from Gemstone right to the property. They came in a couple pallets, they dropped it off, and this is how they get shipped. Got 2, 4, 6, 8 panels per box. They're protected. Gemstone's an American company, but looking at these panels, this stuff is made in Mexico, and then they bring it over. I'm going to try to do this with one hand so I can show you guys what I mean. So let's try this dry fit. All right. I'm using this lip here, the metal building lip, to hold these panels up. All right. And then you dry fit everything, you run the bead of glue, and then you screw it down. I'm not able to do this with one hand, so I'm going to have to put the camera down. I like to dry fit everything first, right? I have this nice edge here, the lip from the metal building that I'm using as a ledge to hold this up. Important, again, make sure everything is nice and level. This is perfect. You run a bead of the construction glue on every furnace strip, and then we just screw it in. There's construction glue here on every single. It's a nice little bead, not too much. You don't need a lot. Just a tiny bit. Be careful with this construction glue that it doesn't get on the panels, because once it dries you can't get it off. I'll slide this thing in. There we go. Go on the ledge here. Check for level. Alright, when you have it up here, you have to make sure that these seams are nice and tight. You don't want any open seams, because then it's more work for you and you got to caulk it and you got to match the color. So let's screw this first piece down. Don't over torque these because they go through the foam fairly easy, so be careful with that. And then it doesn't take that many screws. This panel will probably take 4 screws and that's it. Alright, so the top is done. What we have to do, I like to do one here in the middle. Go from the bottom up. If you go in this direction, you don't even see this screw in there. It's like hidden. Pretty simple to install this stuff. It makes it fast with these panels. Now, when you get to a window like this, I'm going to show you how I marked it off so that we cut it the right way. All right. What you do is you grab a panel. This way. You put it here against the window like this. Now I get to the bottom of the window. I'll grab my Sharpie and I'll mark where the bottom of the window should be. It's right there. Let me move this over. So when we get to this side, you got to make 2 cuts. You got to mark it here because it's got to come back up, and we got to mark the bottom. But what I'm going to do is, because I have the measurement on this side, I'll measure that side. The windows are level. I'll measure that side and draw a line to this side, and we're done. So after a couple of days worth of work, not full days of course, maybe about 4 hours a day. It's about 8 hours. I'm done setting the stone panels in the front. I'm still waiting for the corner pieces. Actually, they're called the end pieces for the corners. I'll show you. But nice and easy. This is so easy to do and looks beautiful. This is amazing. This just made the front of the Barndominium look great. Can't wait to do the columns. I'm going to be doing the columns also about 3.5 feet up. This is what I'm talking about here. Probably have a good couple hours still. Right here at the end, Gemstone has these panels that end with this nice edge. So I ordered 3 for each side. I might have to cut this piece here and add the other ones to finish it off and put the ledger up. But all we need to do is get the touch-up paint out. Well, get the caulk out first. He actually sent me a caulk with that you can match the color. So you can caulk all the seams and all the screw holes for the ledger, because all the other ones are pretty hidden. But the ledger has some screw holes. There's no other way of doing it. I had to wait a couple of days. I had to order them from Gemstone, and it took about 3 or 4 days through Lowe's. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the edge piece. You'll have to get, well, I have 3 rows, so I had to get 3 left and 3 right where they have this nice finished edge. All right, so also on the corner pieces, what I had to do is I had about a 6-inch piece here that I had to cut to make this a nice straight line for the edge pieces. What I used to cut this straight edge here was a miter saw or chop saw, whatever you want to call it. Everything else you can use a jigsaw. Over here, I ended up with the edge ending on this rib to paint it a butt. This you have to carve out by hand. You can use a utility knife and carve out a nice curve here to match the edge. Let's install these last pieces and onto the caulking and painting. So take a look at this edge here. This is what I'm talking about. We just have to touch up everything that we cut. First thing you have to do, run some blue tape. I already did the first coat. You're just touching up the edges because all these edges got cut and trimmed back for the window. But once you touch it up with the paint that they give you, they actually give you touch-up paint that matches the color of the stone panels. I went ahead and I filled the gap in here with some foam, and I'm waiting on some foam sealer. It's like a self-adhesive little sticker that goes in here. It's made out of foam that's shaped to the siding, so it has this shape, and you put it in here and it seals everything and stops water from going in there. That's going to come UPS. That came from Mary Built Structures, the same company I bought the building, and Jim Horan went ahead and decided to send that to me free of charge. Well, thanks, Jim. We finished installing this ledger the edge pieces and everything else. So now we have to touch up everything that we cut that it's exposed, because the foam is kind of whitish, silverish, because it's painted. This stuff has, according to the manufacturer, it has 12 layers of Sherwin-Williams paint, and structurally they warranty it for, I'm not quite sure, but it's quite some time. But they do not warranty against fading, which doesn't make any sense to me. So what a manufacturer advised me to do is you could spray some concrete sealant on here to help prevent fading. So every year you come out here with a pump sprayer and spray the front and seal it. All right, so the trick to this is you put a little bit of paint in there, and you don't put too much paint on this foam brush. You just barely put any paint, because all you're trying to achieve is this random strokes like that. So you get the same texture that they had when they paint this. You don't want to put the gray over the black and look like it's all painted. So when you do these light strokes like that, you will see that it'll give you a nice texture in here. You don't need a lot of paint. Like I said, this is just to finalize. I decided to go with these ledgers in the edge to finish this off. I didn't get enough end pieces, but I think it looks okay. I shaved the top off a little bit. I gotta add some more paint in here, some more black paint to fade that off. And you just randomly do strokes with a little bit of paint. Do not put a lot of paint on there.